sad. You know what else is sad? The fact that Twitch doesn't have any sort of jack-o'-lantern, crow, mushroom, ghost emojis that I can't find any. I guess I'll just have to make my own. But that is not what we are doing today. Today, we're doing a little bit of this. Hang on. There we go. Today, we're working on a little art challenge. A draw this in your style. That's what the acronym in the title means. Draw this in your style for the beautiful and talented 4-Leaf Island here on Twitch and on Tumblr. They were talking about this on stream a long while ago, and we're working on it. I was like, ooh, yay! Hang on. Music, where music? There it is. There'll be music. Hang on, let me see if it's too loud. No, it's good. Good. Alright. Oh, I should make the post saying today's fan art for today's... Well, it's not really fan art, it's a draw this in your style art challenge, but I guess it could be considered fan. I'm just gonna call it fan art. Art for... I don't know... 4-Leaf... Four-Leaf Island? No matches? Huh. Oh, you can only tag people in chat. Okay, so just the tagging thing. I'll just say their name. It's for 4-Leaf Island. Draw... Oh, why spacebar? Spacebar, why you no work? Draw this in your style, if I can remember how to spell style. Challenge. Pin manually and let's go. I swear, you know, it's so funny. My dyslexia used to be for, you know, just for writing, but typing I was completely fine with. I would only switch up, like, and I'd accidentally add E's at the end of certain letters if I was, like... The biggest culprit is when I'm trying to write with the. Because for with the, it's W-I-T-H and then T-H-E again. So what my trying to save time ADHD dyslexic brain would do would just do this. With the. That used to be the extent of it when it would come from, like, typing and writing. Now, oh my, I'm switching around letters so much when I'm typing. It takes me so long to write any message because I keep just switching around letters. It's not like, oh, I just spelled it wrong. It's no, like, for, like, just now, for writing, style, I wrote, like, S-T-Y-E-L-S, and I was like, no, gotta fix that, S-T-Y-L-E. Just switching around letters. The dyslexia is terrible. Anyway. I'm gonna try Okay, since this is a draw this in your style challenge, not try and copy challenge, what I'm gonna try to do is I'm only going to reference Critter, that's their little Sona, who's adorable, a calico cat monster. I'm only going to reference their basic shape and color palette. I'm not going to color pick from the scene, because I do not color backgrounds this way. I kind of wish I did, though, because the way Critter colors everything, they look so cute and like candy. You know, look at these little pumpkin leaves. These look like actual candy. Same with the little pumpkin. It's like, I can almost taste the gummy candy in my mouth. But alas, my art style is a little bit more grungy, shall we say. This was my first attempt trying to draw it, so since the composition is really throwing me off, I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to just get the background drawn first, and then try to copy paste Critter's little guy in there, because I'm really struggling with the composition of the piece, and like the size of Critter. And also, I noticed I need to be mindful of how I draw the ears and head shape, because this does not look like Critter. This head kind of looks like Rambly. Nothing wrong with the dear Rambly, but I'm not trying to draw Rambly. I'm trying to draw Critter. My mic is on. Okay. I'm definitely going to be needing double caffeination today, because, oh my. I binged the entirety of the Marble Hornets series in 2 days, because I watched season 1 and 2, and then yesterday I finished season 3. I forgot how long that series is. That series in total is like 8 hours. And I have not been sleeping well. Well, that's pretty much par for the course when it comes to the Slenderverse. I do apologize for kind of dipping on stream last week to, like, I ditched you guys to watch Rosswood, and I do apologize for that, but it was worth it. Oh my god, Marble Hornets Rosswood is so good. It feels more like a love letter to the fandom, and to the original series. Okay, then there's this little dip here. The trees back here. So I'm going to sort of buff out this tree line. Okay, and it comes back up behind Critter, which is about here. Like every draw this in your style challenge, what I also will be doing for to keep it into the spirit of Rune, I will be overthinking the hell out of every little pen stroke. So we got the pumpkin. The pumpkin. That's too big. I also have my window open because it's really nice out. But that also does mean truck. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but I sure as hell can. I keep drawing things too big. I keep drawing them too big. Because, like, in proportion, they're not that... They're pretty small. Maybe it's because I'm thumbnailing and my eye is trying to draw it as if it would, yeah, zoomed out, but I'm actually zoomed in because I'm trying to lay out everything. There's another pumpkin there. Okay. Now for the critter kitty cat. The thing that is going to trip me up a little bit with Critter is because their body type is very much kind of like a beanbag, like the Beanie Baby body type, which is absolutely adorable and I love it. I just don't draw the Beanie Baby body type when it comes to like cartoons. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to try and be as faithful to the character design because I'm approaching this as if I was commissioned by Critter to draw their OC pulling, you know, a pumpkin in this specific pose. And when I've only done like one commission in my entire life. Everything else was requests. I just wanted to be as faithful to the design as possible. And to the body type. Unless they specifically, you know, they said, you know, my OC is like buff and 15-year-old demon fighter and she's super strong, and then they showed me a picture of a twink and it was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna build out her arms a little bit if you don't mind, make her buff, and they're like, oh my god, I love it. Wait, no, their neck, because scarf. Okay. Live and learn. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Actually, I'm going to draw the pose separate and then just shrink it down when I'm done. There. Because, like, their little... Alright, we got shoulder... chest, neck, and then, oops, and then head, very wide set eyes, and little, whatever shape that is. Fur. Small muzzle. Very wide set face. Okay. And then here we have leg, leg. Okay, they're kind of like a... They're kind of built like a munchkin. Actually, no, their body type kind of reminds me of a hamster. But since they're a cat monster, they kind of also make me think of a munchkin cat. You know, the... Oh my god, munchkin cats, they are so cute, but that type of selective breeding should be considered animal cruelty. Because, oh my, they've docked... Okay, do you know, like, a dachshund cat? Like, a dachshund, but a cat. That's what a munchkin is. It is cute in an endearing way, but they have so many health problems and back problems when they, you know, when they spawn in. It's like, oh man. I feel bad for the little guys. Now, the tail situation is also might annoy me. Not annoy me, but it's going to be interesting of trying to fit them both in, which is why in the original piece it's cut off. And they don't really have elbows. So, because it's just like a little beanie baby, but they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. Okay. So bottom heavy. I gotta think bottom heavy. This is the shape we're working with. Very pear-shaped. Okay. Chest. And we got a very cute little action pose because if you can, oh, you can't see. If you can see here, they're not touching the ground at all. This is mid-yoink. Which is honestly, this is exactly what it feels like to pick pumpkins when you don't have a knife. If you're just, because what I do for my pumpkin patch, I just grab them, step on the vine, and then twist their head like I'm breaking someone's neck. That's how that's how I get it. That's why I pull my pumpkins. But for this one, if you were just to yoink, then yeah, half the plant would come with you. You're like, ah! The critter looks like they're having fun. They could probably balance on their tails. Actually, I don't know. How strong are their tails? I'm not fully versed in the critter lore, so any OG fans in the live chat or in the YouTube VOD, forgive me. I'm a relatively new subscriber. I subscribed to them this year during Art Fight, because I just typed up Art Fight and was like, okay, who's streaming Art Fight? Because I want to see who else is doing this. Because it feels like no one was live streaming it. And then I found them. I was like, oh wow, they have a really cute art style. And I did an attack for their character, Angel, who's a very cute little bunny. And, you know, still here. Okay, so I need to tilt. That's on the same layer. Oops. Oh well. We need to be tilted back because it is an action. Okay, let me redline this. The actual... Okay, we're... bent back. To show effort. Doing these challenges, while challenging, haha, it does make me realize I need to actually practice more with dynamic poses. And like, very, you know, action-oriented. Art pieces, because I have always struggled with poses, like last stream. Dardoris was asking me, he was like, do you got any ideas for poses? I was like, Sailor Moon, I don't care. I had no idea. I just... Despite spending most of my artistic journey as an illustrator, I know absolutely nothing about posing and what's the word I'm looking for? And composition. Just because I took an art class in high school doesn't mean I actually know anything about art. Well, because A, the art teacher didn't like me. Which, for some reason, if a teacher just doesn't like you, you're not going to do well in their class. And B, all he was really doing was talking about, like, the high school art was, like, the first level, because I grew up in a very rural area, and the school, I don't think the school was poor, it's just the resources for the curriculum, that's the word, the curriculum was very bare bones. You know, so, same with both schools I went to, the curriculum was very bare bones. And then when, like, finals would come around and be like, okay, this is the state standard for testing, it'd be like, we learned none of this, so we had to cram everything in order to be, like, to pass the state standard test, meaning the bare minimum. My schools were below the bare minimum. Which you could tell because when the testing went around, the teacher would go over the material with us and be like, hey, do you guys know what this is talking about? And be like, oh my god. Oh my god. I'm being educated by Hicks. That's what you get for going to a redneck school. It doesn't matter if the school year started 2 months ago. It's hunting season. No one is here. And they're like, where is everybody? It's hunting. It's opening. It's hunting season. Oh, okay. So we'll just do nothing until they get back. Excuse me, what? Insert JonTron meme. It wasn't all bad, though. Okay. But it just felt like, due to the area I was in, there was no such thing as, like, I mean, the second school I went to did have AP courses, and it was a bigger school, which is why we transferred there, because my mom thought I needed a challenge. And I did. But it was still in a rural area. Why does this still look like Rambly? Nothing wrong with it either way. It's just, why? I'm trying to draw Critter. Why do you look like Rambly from Indigo Park? Is this my sign that I should draw fan art for Rambly from Indigo Park? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Indigo Park. I can't wait for Chapter 2. And Rambly is an adorable character, but that's not what we're trying to do here, y'all. Here I am sitting and complaining, oh my god, I was educated by a bunch of rednecks. And meanwhile, I say, y'all and Applejack was my favorite character. I don't want to say, you are your upbringing, because that's not true at all. You can unlearn what you were taught as a child, but at the same time, you kind of are your upbringing. Everything that happened to you as a child defines you as an adult. Whether it's in the... you are reflecting or rejecting your upbringing, your childhood. Now, for some people, they tend to do the rejecting of their upbringing. Like, oh, I wasn't allowed to have this when I was a kid, so as an adult, that's all I do. My entire living space is now all of that. Or then there's the reflecting, where I was raised this way, so now everything I do is going to be in that spirit. There really is no middle ground. And it's kind of a depressing thought that no matter what you do, you're never your own... Well, you are your own person, but you are always a representation of what your parents did or didn't do for you. So it just shows how important it is for parents to, you know, be whole, and I don't want to just say be there for your child, because sometimes your child doesn't need you to be as present as, you know, some parents are, because there's a difference between being loving and being coddling, and it is a very precarious balancing act. Okay, I like that a little bit more. Okay, I'm not quite liking how the legs are, so I'm gonna tilt them ever so slightly. And then we're just gonna we're just gonna cover this whole area with a pumpkin. So we don't have to think about, we don't have to, don't look at this. Don't look at body. Just look at pumpkin. There we go. And there's, wait, hang on, let me, a little bit of a stem there. And then there's a little bit of toe beans right there. There we go. The head is still tripping me up, but I think when I add the rest of the face, it won't be as trippy for me. Now, I am going to draw the eyes very differently. I'm going to probably move them in a little bit more, because cats have forward-facing eyes. I'm not going to add any noses or anything, but I am going to keep the cat mouth. I have a little bit of an eyelash. There we go. Where are they looking? They're looking that way. Okay. Forehead is too small. That's what we're struggling with here. Okay. There we go. What was I talking about? Something about parenting. Yeah, it's just a weird thought that literally everything in your adult life can be traced back to what did or didn't happen to you as a child. But this just proves how important it is for parents, adults, before you decide to become a parent, please get your shit together. Which is why I'm probably not gonna have kids, like, ever. I wouldn't want to do that. Because I read this quote that said either you face your demons now, or you let them raise your children. It's like, oh. Now what does that mean? That means if you do not handle your issues, like face your demons, like your anger issues or your addiction, your, you know, any sort of issues you have that are like, this is my personal problem, Well, no, your kids are gonna see that. Like, I don't mean to air out any laundry here, but me personally, because of the way I was raised, anytime someone does something loudly, or like if they're doing something quietly and then suddenly the volume picks up, my mind instantly thinks that they're angry and I need to avoid them. Or that means I need to go start cleaning something. Or now suddenly I need to do my chores extra quiet. You can glean from that what you will. Critter really doesn't have any thumbs in this art piece, even though I know they do exist. They're right there. But in the little piece here, I think I'll just do the mittens. I'll just do that. They will look worried. Alright, the eye shape needs to change. Alright, can you maybe not do that? Okay, I'm just gonna do that and then we'll figure it out later, Bill. Ugh. Psychology is one of those weird things where you can pretend to be we humans pretend to be very complex creatures. But if you break it down to like the most basic, just break it down to our most basic functions, we are, in fact, so simple. But we have opposable thumbs, so we think ourselves complex. Because we don't perceivably observe the same behaviors in other animals. But that's either because we think we're so great, so when other animals are doing something, we're like, oh, look at the silly animal, but not recognizing we do the same thing, just on a different scale. Because anytime humans are like faced with the idea that we are not as cool as we think we are, it's like we short circuit. We're like, no, we're not dumb. That animal is just surprisingly intelligent. Like, oh my, I'm so amazed by the intelligence of corvids. Those birds can figure out puzzles and speak and do basic team building. Oh wow, look at how intelligent they are. Instead of just saying, hey, we're no different than half the animal kingdom, so we need to get over ourselves. But at the same time, we are pretty cool. Not to say that humans haven't done cool things. Nay, nay, nay. Every animal has done some pretty cool things. Like, what other animal has a fursona? and draws little pictures of little guys picking pumpkins while live streaming it to the world. Can you imagine? Just saying that made me think. Can you imagine if, like, the Renaissance artists had a Twitch? Like, if live streaming was available back in the day, how do you think that they would, like, what genre would they be? Or if they had, like, a YouTube channel. I think like Da Vinci would definitely be like a maybe not a commentary channel, but he would do the thing where he just has his art casually in the background while he's talking about how planes work. Michelangelo would definitely have a expose video on his terrible commission experiences, like my commission nightmares. Bleeding for the art. I don't know, I think that'd be funny. I'm pretty sure someone else has thought of that before. Okay, for some reason I am really struggling with these eyes and I don't know why. Okay, whatever. I think that's good enough. I'll figure out the tails. Hey. There we go. I might need to get a refill of coffee soon. Because I need it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go do that now, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back. You know, let me... There we go. BRB! Don't set the chat on fire while I'm gone, okay? You know what's funny? I was saying about how humans are not as complex. We're not as cool as we think we are. But that's not the right verbiage I should use. What I probably should use is we are a lot... We're easier to understand than we are easier to figure out than we think we are. Because if you look at any behavior, take any person in your life, and this is a very cool experiment, even if it's yourself, take any person in their life, look at a behavior or anything they do, any choice they made in their adult life or childhood, and ask yourself, what need is being fulfilled? What is this serving? What needs does he have? If you think, okay, well, this is maybe satiating this kind of need. All right, okay, so wow, my noise state's really good. I don't think it picked that up at all. There's a loud car drove by. Okay, what needs are being met with this behavior? If you're like, well, this doesn't really have a need, it's just he's just doing it because. Wrong. Everything you do is serving a need. Any need you have, everything you do is to serve those needs. To serve or deny. Serve or deny. Reflect or reject. That is the basis of human psychology. It can be summarized, boiled down into two things. What are you serving and what are you rejecting? And why? I create art. Why? Because it's how I process the world. A world that is, in my opinion, way too stressful. So I create little stories of little worlds where the world is understandable. There's rules. There are rules to be followed. And even if there's like things in the story that are still just as stressful as the real world, in the story, those stressful things are called out. Like, that's why we write dystopia. It's because that's not of what we think the future is going to be. It is a critique of the present. So that is the need we are serving. We are critiquing the present idiocy of our life by putting it in an easily digestible format of a story. Why do I live stream? It's because I desire and crave connection, community. Why? Well, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And the friends that I did have were really only interested in how, not to toot my own horn, how smart I was. Or that I always had supplies and that they could get what they wanted from me just by asking, because I would so easily give, and never asked of anything because all I wanted was community. That's all I wanted. So I live stream, I give, and all I asked in return is your time. Which, realizing now in the adult world, time is the most valuable thing you have. So actually, I'm asking quite a lot of my audience to dedicate, how long are my live streams usually? 3 hours of their time. This tail is going to absolutely drive me up a wall. I have to think of silhouette here, because it's not just a realistic shape, it's also silhouette. To see there's a gap there, so that means that is the top. There we go. And this is the bottom. There we go. Same with your, you can add the same sort of dissective lens to your interests, what your favorite shows are, and I'll read you the filth. One of my favorite shows is My Little Pony. Specifically, Friendship is Magic. Why? Because I didn't have a lot of friends. Again, I need community, connection. Despite being an introvert, humans are very social creatures. And even if we confirm or deny, like, like, I don't need people, blah. It's like, no, you don't need to be used. That's what you're avoidant. That's what you're avoiding. That's what you're rejecting. Being used. or having too much expected of you. But humans naturally are very social creatures. Everything we do is for connection. To fit in. Or to express that we don't feel, that we feel that we don't fit in. The tail brush, yeah, the tail brush, looks kind of weird here, so... Oh, if I just move it inward and tilt, okay, yeah, if I just move it in and tilt it. Which is also why I'm doing, you know, doing the fall illustrations, the fan art. Draw this in your style. Because I want to draw something that I like, and that I know other people like, so they can see and go, oh, I like that thing too. And then they engage. It seems selfish, but it's not very selfish, because what I'm also doing, intentionally or unintentionally, is I'm also offering someone else connection. Because what if they like this thing? And then they see art of their favorite thing or art of their work, and they're, oh, someone enjoyed it enough to use their time. Loud ass am I. To use their time and talents, or their hard work, to express their enjoyment of a thing I made. Or if they're like, oh, I love this thing too, and now I see someone else working, I'm gonna keep that in case I shrink it down. So it's no matter what you're doing, no matter how selfish it feels, you're also, what you are seeking through creation, you are also offering by creating. I am seeking community, and by creating this art, I am offering community with, you know, say like my Warriors comic. I don't know if there's a fandom out there for it, but I do recognize some names that are tuning in. And I've said many people have commented that they're looking forward to the next few pages, or how the story's gonna go, which I'm so grateful for, that people actually like it. Honestly, if I only wanted likes and views and money for my art, if I actually was being selfish, I'd just make porn. In all honesty, I know exactly, you know, I'd just make furry porn, because that's where all the money is. If I actually was being selfish and only wanted people's likes, views, and money, I'd draw Lola Bunny with big tits. You know? That's what I'd be doing. But I'm not. I'm drawing a little cat monster picking pumpkins. Last stream, I drew some fan art for a creepypasta that isn't as popular. If I was only concerned with likes, I'd only draw what is popular. But I'm not. I, in fact, kind of avoid what's popular, even though it would get me views. Same with being like a drama channel, or what have you. So, despite your feelings towards a behavior, whether it be someone else's or yours, you should recognize the value your, you know, not just your value, but in the value of what you put out into the world. And how it's going to affect others. There we go. And it's okay. You don't have to constantly think about what other people are going to think of your art or your creation. You don't have to do that. In fact, I encourage you not to actively think about it all the time. Because then you'll constantly be concerned with what other people want and then not what you want. So, what do you want? What needs do you have? What is it of itself? What is its nature? What needs does it serve? If you recognize that quote, by golly, you're gonna really love next week's live streams. Sound off if you recognize that quote. Please sound off if you recognize that quote. I need more people to talk to about my interests. Another one of my favorite shows is, Steven Universe. I'm not sure what needs I'm serving with that one besides of just beautiful songs and gorgeous space rocks. Jasper is the best thing ever put to paper. But maybe it's because I know Steven Universe Future was very impactful for me because I was going through the same thing Steven was when that series came out, when Future came out, because it was like, oh, shoot, I'm an adult now. There are certain things I need to work on. Oh, my cat wants in. 1 second. Real quick, real quick. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. You poo-poo. The hockey puck. She's gonna want back out in like 5 minutes after she's done eating, so... Hey, Waffles! It's actually planned. Checklist, full storyboards, no rushed writing, animation. Surprisingly, I've become productive. Oh, isn't that such a euphoric feeling? You're like, oh, yes! Lists! Plans! No time limit! You know, it's a funny thing with ADHD. You hate having to stick to a schedule, but you also need a schedule. Nothing fills me with more euphoria than filling out a checklist Like, just having a checklist for the day and slowly but surely ticking things off that checklist. And then when that list is done, boom! There's evidence to your hard work, because look at this list. Look at all these check marks. Even if, like, because I usually create checklists for when I'm cleaning the house, just so I can, like, keep all the, just so I can just keep it all in order. Because our house isn't that big, but just having clean house on a checklist by itself, it's like, okay, yeah, that's one thing. But no, if you have it broken down to, like, what I do for keeping, I separate it into rooms. I'll just say, you know, this is terrible handwriting time. Kitchen. You know, wipe counters. Dust. Cabinet. I don't know how to spell, but dust cabinets. Sweep floor. And then mop floor. You know, that's one room, but that's like 4 things. So I can just check, 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 check. There we go. Kitchen is done. On to the next room. And then, sure, instead of just saying clean house in one checklist, you've actually done multiple tasks. You don't have to schedule it out. And it does help to have a boss playlist. Like, if I'm cleaning house, the best song for me to play is Married Life from Pixar's Up. Because the rhythm of that it's like, yes, I am cleaning. Or just have some Disney just some Disney playlist, especially Just Whistle While You Work. Hello, first time chatter, romanticized nightmare. I love that name. Art thou winning? Are you winning, son? I think we are. I'm struggling with the cuteness of this little critter with a head shape. I think the forehead is still a little small in comparison. But this is a draw this in your style challenge, and that's just my style. It's not bad anatomy, it's just my style. Hi, hello, welcome to the stream. Okay, I think, sketch-wise, this is ready. We are ready to move on to the next phase. Hang on, let me just erase some of this. Some of this, some of that, some of that. There we go. Merge, merge. There we go. New, and I'm not sure what... Okay, it needs to be long, so maybe if I do maybe if I do a 2x4. And then if that's 2... I did it the wrong way. Okay. Reverse. Bruh. Jesus! Hi! Thank you for the follow. Oh my god. Why is that so loud? For me, anyway. I don't know if that was loud for y'all. Not gonna lie, your username just popped into your head and wouldn't leave, so I and well, it's stuck. Yeah, that's kind of how a few usernames of mine started. And yeah, get loved on, nerd. Just Nightmare is fine. Okay. Good to know. Copy, paste, zoom. I want to leave room for the sky. Oh. There we go. Yes, I know we are seeing more of Critter's tail than is what in the original art, but this is my style. There we go. It isn't a piece of rune art unless if there ain't a ridiculous amount of details, especially when trees are involved. Okay, I'm gonna add this vine thing because this is center. And it's not quite a leading line, but it kind of is. If I... Then there are leaves here, here, and here. Pumpkin leaves. This is gonna blast me. Maybe it isn't that loud, it's just in comparison. I'm just sitting in a quiet room with only my voice to fill the silence. What do pumpkin leaves even look like? What do pumpkin leaves even look? Despite growing pumpkins myself, I don't know what they look like. Critter, I think I know what you did here. Did you use the shape tool? I think you did. Okay. I'm going to use my old reliable. We're going to continue. Bruh. There we go. I don't want to add too much extra detail to Critter because this is their Sona. And I want to be, you know, as loyal to the design as possible. I'm just drawing it in my style. But the way I draw characters and specifically furries is completely different than what most people draw them as. You know, I'm not like other girls. first of all, when I draw furries or characters, I try to make them actually look like the species that they're supposed to be. But since Critter is a little cat monster, there's really no rules for that. So I gotta follow the rules, in air quotes, of their little species. That's a little too much. Loof. I also don't do rounded edges. I've noticed that in my art style. I don't do rounded off edges. I'm very much... I do very angled and sharp. Very sharp line art. I think that's mostly because I'm just I'm so edgy. But also, I was a Warrior Cats fan in the early 2000s, and that, you know, brand of... If you know, you know. That brand of art style when drawing cats with the anime hair was very informative to... if I give them an actual dome with no hair, they look bald. And I don't like it. Another thing I draw about furs, they are never bald. Even though you're covered in fur. If there's no, you know, some of this, you're bald. So I'm just gonna draw a little bit of that. There. Satiated. Excuse you. My pen was in the wrong mode. Now I got that Indigo Park song stuck on my head. As I mentioned that the way I was drawing Critter earlier kind of looked like Rambly. I mean, look at that. Does this not look like Rambly Raccoon from Indigo Park? I'm also going to tone down the lashes just a little bit. There we go. Because I go crazy with the lashes. I don't know why. I just do. What was their name? Okay, if you're a Warrior Cats fan, let me know. Because there was this one artist that got very popular for drawing Warrior Cats fan art, especially their animations. And oh god, I can see their art style so clearly in my head. They made a AMV for Tiger Star with the song Monster by Skillet. They also, I think they're most famous for their depiction of Scourge, you know, with the anime hair and the wings, like in the red marks under their eyes. Do you know what you guys know what I'm talking about? God, that particular artist very much informed how I draw. It's like back in the early 2000s, I was still a wee bab. Even though I didn't like really get on the internet until like 2012. That's because I was 13 at the time, which is the minimum age requirement to be on the internet. My parents were responsible in that regard. I'm still gonna draw the simple little feetsies because I don't know how to draw beanie. Ow, excuse me, the hiccups. I don't know how to draw beanie babies. Okay, they don't have specific toe bean design on their Sona, but they do have paw pads, so I'm assuming they also have paw pads on their little foots, but I don't know for sure. I don't draw toe beans on my furries. I try to be as accurate as possible to the species that they are referencing, but when it comes to toe beans, nah, I yeet them. Just, nope, gone. I don't know why. Maybe, I don't know what it is, but I think it's because people are obsessed with oh my god, the little toe beans. Oh, I love the little toe beans. And I'm like, why are you obsessed with their feet? Even though I know it's not, well, I don't know, maybe it is. Just, furries are kind of weird. I say as a furry. I'm obsessed with following the rules until I'm not, you know? It's a very neurodivergent thing. We follow the rules to the letter unless they don't make sense, and then we just flat out ignore them because they don't make sense. Even though that has cost me more than a few batches of muffins because I didn't follow the recipe exactly as stated because the reason why just didn't make sense to me. And then it's like, oh, that's why. Well, why didn't they just say that? Well, it was implied knowledge. Implied knowledge? Who out here just knows these things? Implied knowledge? What do you mean? Man, this is what I get for starting stream at like 12 without eating lunch. I am hungry. Okay, that does look really cute so far. Hang on. Oop, 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 oop. First try. You know something that's wild? Like, I keep forgetting that it's October. And, like, Halloween is next week. Halloween is next Friday. And it's on a Friday this year. Awesome. but Halloween is next Friday. I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, that's this month. Hold on. What are we doing? And it also gets me kind of upset because as soon as October is over, some people are gonna be like, alright, now let's move on to Christmas. And just, no! Keep it alive for more than 30 days, please! I hate Christmas. Like, November exists for a reason, guys. We need to have that buffer. I'm gonna use the circle tool because I'm so fed up with trying to draw good circles. Funny, for stream, I don't actually know what I'm gonna be doing. Like, I had thought of, like, doing a watch party for my favorite Halloween movie of all time. But the copyright strike that I would receive would be monumental for watching a movie on stream. Thicken this line art just a little bit. And last year, you know, we had that huge 4-hour live stream where I ranked a bunch of candy and talked about slasher films, you know. It was like a whole thing. And I'm just realizing last year was my creative peak, and this year kind of feels like a slump, which is fine. You can have, you know, waxing and waning moments of creativity and growth and whatnot. But it does feel bad because there's this weird mentality that you constantly must be improving and being better and better each year or each iteration, that if you're not doing better, you're doing worse. But that's not how life actually works, you know? Like, I can feel terrible because I'm not doing as good this year as I was last year. Like, you know, content-wise. I haven't made a YouTube video in almost 2 months, when last year I had a video out every week. But that's okay, because I'm just not really into making YouTube videos anymore. I post my VODs there. Yeah, that Halloween that... Back when I was Rune Skiamorph. Well... Yeah, that was last year. Because, New Year's was, Rune Space, and that only lasted a few months. No, wait, New Year's was the other version, was like the last version of Rune Skiamorph, and then came Rune Space for like a few months. it wasn't even a year. RuneSpace did not last a year, like hardly at all. And then it was, and now it's just Rune. I'd say I'm happier with my decision, but I still grieve the loss of, you know, looking forward to seeing what people's reactions were going to be for the next video. These tales actually turned out a lot better than I thought they were, so you know, that's a win. Yeah, that was a year ago. It feels so weird. But I'm streaming like 3 times a week. Usually. So I'm still creating. My comic is still going. My DeviantArt has been more active than ever. And I'm just I'm just existing. You know? I'm enjoying things, and I'm not posting about it. And it feels weird to do that in an internet space. I'm just enjoying things for the sake of enjoying them. I'm not watching things and then I'm like, okay, then I'm gonna make a YouTube video about it. Then I'm gonna make a, you know, a talking point about it. And then, oh, I have to do like an animatic about it. Like, it's not, I'm not doing things because I have to for my creative journey. I'm doing this because I'm doing things because I want to. I wanted to make more fan art this year and more illustrations. And yes, it does feel kind of... I don't know. I don't know really how I'm feeling. Because I'd say, oh, I'm fine, I'm healing because I'm doing this for me. But I remember I genuinely did like making videos. I just hated editing. I just hate editing. So now whenever like the thought of making another YouTube video comes up, all I remember is the editing. And the, you know, the grind of it all. And I'm just, do I want that? Because I have this weird, ride or die mentality. That's the wrong mode. When it comes to content. Like, I can't just make one-offs. I should actually start from the bottom. Because there's a sense of what's the word I'm looking for? Finality, I think. Huh. Oh well. Yeah, there's a sense that if I try something, I have to commit to it, you know? And I'm not sure if I want to commit to it. Or what if it doesn't work out and then I've wasted all that time and resource and whatnot. Which is why a lot of my video series or projects that I would have done something with, nothing ends up happening because I either I get bored or I lose interest or I just don't want to commit to this level, like that type of content all the time. So I'll like make one and never do it again, or I'll start a project and then never finish it and then just delete everything, or just let the files sit there in my computer and never finish it because just didn't feel I don't know what it is. But whatever it is, it's driving me insane. And I'm genuinely trying to figure out what I need to do. And most of the advice out there just isn't helping. You know, I've made a few videos talking about advice that I hate because they're just unhelpful. Which is a lot of advice if you think about it. Is, oh, just do what you want to do. It's like, I don't know what I want to do. And what I do want to do isn't going to, help me in the long run because I need to actually make money. And I think that's what's really tripping me up. I can just create. Like, if I said, screw it with the live streaming, I'm just going to be focusing on writing my stories and drawing art. That's all I'm going to focus on doing. And then when it's done, I'll post it, or something like that. If I just dipped off the face of the internet, that would be, what I used to do. Without focusing on trying to build a channel and create content and whatnot. That would be it. But for the career that I want, with being able to make money with my art, I kind of need to have an online presence. Or it's just not going to go anywhere. You see what I'm saying? Like, what I want is to just make my stuff. To write my stories, and that's it. That's all I want to do with my life. All I want to do is write my stories. And post them. But, that's just something that kind of goes with the territory. If I just color that on top, or actually, if I tilt it, there we go, that's better. But the problem is we have to think pragmatically. We have to have some sort of game plan and think logically about how this is going to help us make a living. And that's my biggest issue. I have to think about how this is going to make a living. And anytime I have to think about the money of the situation, I immediately lose interest. Because that's not what I'm interested in. Genuinely, that's not what I'm interested in. Would I love to have a bunch of money so I can do the things I want to do and live comfortably and live where I want, how I want? Absolutely, I would love to do that. But the fact of the matter is that is just impossible if you live passionately. And that makes me depressed. But honestly, it makes me sad. Not sad. Genuinely depressed. That if you live passionately, which is honestly all I care about is passion, you're not gonna really, air quote, make it. That's a bad pumpkin. In life. Or you're going to be stuck living with people who have actual jobs, making actual money to care for you, while you just live in your own little world, then all you feel like is a burden. I see, you know, I see why Vincent van Gogh willingly signed himself into a mental asylum, because he felt like he was being a burden on his family, specifically his brother, and he didn't want to be a burden to his brother. And when he was in the institution, all he had to think about was his creation, and some of his greatest and most famous pieces came from when he didn't have to think about bills and what to eat and, you know, how he was going to survive today. Or what people were gonna think. All he thought about was what to paint. And that part's easy. Trying to figure out what to create, that's easy. But trying to think about how that's going to help, you know? How is this going to advance not just my career, but my life, so that I can survive? And that is the most frustrating part about being an artist or being creative. Because if you're constantly focusing on how or like what you create and how it can support you financially, then all you're doing is surviving. And that's not good. That's not good for your creativity, because then that's just stress. Then that's just, okay, I just need to make this because I need to make this, not because I actually want to. And then you just get caught in this perpetual loop, and then you get burnt out, and then you physically can't create without hurting yourself, because you've just used up all of your mental capacity just trying to survive, instead of focusing on what's important to you. And what's important is your craft. So to make a long fucking story short, that is why I haven't been making videos at all for the past few months. Because I don't know if it's something I want to do, or it's something I started doing because I felt like I had to. You know? And don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to have a thriving channel with, you know, followers and subscribers and people tuning in and membership channels, people like, and you know, like engaging in a community and whatnot. I would absolutely love to have all of that. But that's the thing. If I'm not willing to put in the work that would be needed to have that, and just want to have it, then it's not really something. It's just a want at that point. It's not a passion, and it's not a you know, it's not actually something you want. You just want the idea of it. You want the concept, not the actual reality. And I think that's also probably why I still live with my parents. I love the concept of living on your own and having your own place and being independent, but Actually, the reality of that is quite exhausting. But then I'm also wondering, hey, is this me realizing that that reality is not something I want, or am I just being lazy? You know, it's just the... I know earlier I said that humans are simple creatures, and that if you just think, what are you serving versus what are you rejecting? What are you reflecting versus what are you rejecting? And then you can figure out a person very easily. Figuring out other people is easy. But figuring out yourself with the insider view, especially if you also have a very low opinion of yourself. This art is turning out really cute, by the way. It becomes very hard to focus on anything. When all you can think of is, why am I still alive? Aside from the fact that I haven't died yet. Because if that becomes the only reason you're alive, because I haven't died yet, then you're not actually living, you're just existing. And there's nothing wrong with just existing, but you can't just exist forever, you know? You need to live. You need to thrive. So right now, I am just existing. And it's a temporary thing. It is very temporary. But the just existing phase is becoming very unsatisfactory. So this is how I know I am almost ready to move on to the next phase, which is actually living. How and what, but I haven't moved on yet because I'm not exactly sure what I want my life to look like. You know, how am I going to get from existing to living? That is a tangent. There we go. A little better. So how's your week going? Okay, I think the line art for now is pretty much finished because I don't want to put too much detail in the line art this time because I want to really show off my style. I want to focus more on the texturing and the color because that's really where my art style comes through. Very simple line art, over the top texturing. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just color in Critter. And then we can go crazy. I am definitely going to be coloring the line art for this one. You gotta be crazy if you don't think I'm gonna be coloring the line art. No, their eyes are white? Yeah, they're... Are they? They're not. Oh, their eyes are not a solid white. Interesting. Oh my god, they're basically the same color. You know what? I will be copy-pasting that color. Wait, is it the... Is that the same color? Just a look... Bro, what the... Is this it? That's it. That's it. Okay, that's it. Good. Golly, Miss Molly. Sweet baby Jesus and the grown one too. Okay, their eye colors are those three. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Okay, there we go. And then it's, alright. That. And that. A lot of clipping masks. Oh, wait, hold on. Honestly, the way I draw eyes is completely different. But for the sake of authenticity, we're going to be continuing down that trail. Is that my art style? Okay, I need to fix that. Do this, that, and... There we go. Ow! God, that looks terrifying. Don't do that. Okay, we're on that layer. Okay, now for the calico bits. kind of got almost a tuxedo look to them, even though they are a calico. Okay, yeah, that does look a lot better? Question mark? Okay, and then the back marks are basically this little, oh, they got a little star on the back of their head. Oh, I just noticed that. Well, I ain't drawn the back of their head, so this is fine. And, okay, yeah. And then dink, okay. Dink and dink, and then we just dink, connect, and then it looks like, yeah, I'm just gonna do that for both of them, and then I'll just stripe it. How many stripes? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And it's the same on each side. Ooh. One, two. Three, and then we can't see the fourth one. 1, 2, 3. Eesh. Hey, excuse you, I said not. Okay. Ugh, jeez. I've never been very good with striped characters, despite having a persona that was a Tygon. which is a tiger-lion hybrid, for the longest time. Paint is optional and can change color. Okay, so I'm going... Should I stick with the same paint color, or can I... When did you go out? Oh, my cat wants back in. Okay. Come on. It's putting on the riz. And then that's pretty much it for their markings. Thankfully, they have a very, simplistic style. Now I just need their little scarf thing. Which I know the details are gonna drive me absolutely crazy. Because I got little clover looking doodads. Which isn't necessarily hard, it's just anytime something has details on it, I go absolutely insane because I try to perfectly replicate. You know what? Is it really that simple? Is it really that simple? Ah, God. God, why do I always overcomplicate everything? Without fail, everything I ever engage with, I just overcomplicate it. I can't help myself. I overcomplicate everything. Everything. It always has to be this huge thing with me. It's never, it never just is. There's always some deeper concept or some other deeper meaning. That I gotta add. Ugh. Sometimes things are just that simple. And then I get bored. Because what do you mean it's just that simple? No, everything has to be a challenge because life for me is always challenging. What do you mean there are things that are easy? That hasn't been true at all in my life experience. Can you tell that I am on the brink? Oop, I forgot the little fangs. Most of it wasn't drawn in there, but I always add a little tooth. And I always add teeth. Oh shoot, the pumpkin. I said I wasn't gonna reference the colors for that. But I can't make it too orangey red. Because A, pumpkins ain't that color. And B, I don't want the pumpkin to blend into critters. Hello? Bullshit, get out. Sorry, that was my sister's cat. Yeah, she's in my office. She comes in through the window. I keep forgetting which button to push. That is not the right. There we go. I'll come back and do the paint on the tails later because I don't know if I want it to be something else. There's been a lot of planes flying over recently, and there might be there is an Air Force base relatively nearby, so they're probably just running drills. But still, it's just like there we go. You know, honestly, I really shouldn't. Probably. really shouldn't do a watch party for this Halloween because given my track record with copyright strikes or copyright claims, it's not gonna be pretty. Because lo and behold, guess who got another false copyright claim on their Twitch channel? Moi. Even though I'm using copyright-free music from YouTube's library. Well, say Laguerre, Napoleon. I guess you can't win them all. No, what's the green? If you understand that reference also, please sound off because, oh my god, I need more friends. I need more people that understand my references that aren't family members. Le gasp. There was some stray pixel action going on there. That is something we shall not have. There we go. Since this vine is going to be really fast, I'm just gonna... That's just some random textures. While also faking some shading. There we go. Oh, that's good. A little bit more here. I'm not sure where I'm going to have the light source coming from because in this piece seems to be very well lit, but it is in my experience in fall weather that it is either very windy or very rainy or both. Bless you. It is also cold season. I almost killed my family the other day. I made some enchiladas, and I guess I went a little crazy with the spice. And my entire family was like, it's a little spicy, Rune. What'd you do? And I'm like, I just put in sriracha. I'm like, oh, that's why. But 'tis the season for sniffles and coughing, so I thought I might as well save everyone the trouble of getting sick this year by making it completely impossible to be stuffy. Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna add just a little bit of yellowing around the leaves because when eat some spicy food, man! Or drink something warm! Drink some tea! I'm gonna add some yellowing along the leaves and vine because when a pumpkin is ready, it's usually because the vine is almost dead. So just a little bit of coloration. Just to add some differences between the different leaves. There we go. since this is a littler guy, we can make him a little bit more, ooh, maybe a little bit more than that. So pumpkins start out green. So more yellowing. I'm not sure what kind of pumpkins these are supposed to be. I think these are the sugar pumpkins, which are good for, whoops, carving and for pies because of their round shape, their very penetrable skin, and sweet flavor. But I also kind of like Cinderella pumpkins because they're big, kind of pink, and they're like good in like stews and whatnot. And that's usually what I use my pumpkins for. Not just for bread and for pie, but also for soup. If you haven't had pumpkin stew, you're missing out, buddy, because oh my. Especially since this pumpkin looks like the cartoony pumpkin. And these pumpkins look more like Cinderella's. More like a gourd. Which pumpkins are gourds. If I could try this, if I... Ah! What happened? I scrolled. That's what. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to unclip. And then add another clipping layer so I can texture without invading. Cause I'm a hex girl and I'm gonna put a spell on you. Wind, fire, and air. know what's kind of funny, but also, it's just, oh my god. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost was arguably one of the worst Scooby-Doo movie. Well, it's not the worst Scooby-Doo movie, but like in comparison to like mystery and whatnot, it's one of the worst. However, the performances in that movie are they're top notch. I was like, really? That's the wrong button. You get, what's his name? Tim Curry to voice in your Scooby-Doo movie, and this is the script you give him? That's it? That's the script you went with? Alright. I am gonna stick with a more blue, that's a little too blue, a more blue sky, because in autumn, the blueness of the sky is like increased tenfold. And I don't understand the phenomenon of why the why the sky becomes even more blue in fall than it is on any other time of year. I don't get it, but I'm not gonna question it either. However, instead of just having a solid mass, like for this one, I'm gonna have just a little bit more of a gradient. And by a little bit, I mean actually a gradient. There. There was one Scooby-Doo movie that was genuinely like the worst Scooby-Doo movie, and I can't remember which one it was called, but it was something to do with a video game, and where they get like, where Shaggy and Scooby get sent into a video game, and there's this electric monster that's there, and you know, because it's Scooby-Doo, turns out the monster wasn't real, but it's like, it doesn't even match. I can't even remember what the movie was all about. All I remember is when I was watching it was like, this, even by Scooby standards, this is kind of dumb. And I felt nothing. I was like, okay. Like, The Witch's Ghost wasn't bad, it's just, it kind of... It was in the era when Scooby-Doo started breaking away from their typical... The monster isn't real, it's actually pull the mask off. Let's see who the real monster is. That's when that era is when Scooby-Doo started moving away from that. And while we all love a good monster and whatnot, but like, that wasn't the point of Scooby-Doo. The point is that it's never actually a monster. It's just a person who became like a monster. And of course, it's like really? You wanted to save your company and your first thought was to dress up as a to go through all the trouble to dress up as whatever monster and then scare people away because you're a greedy real estate agent? Really? That's the first thought you went? It would make more sense if the Scooby-Doo, if the Mystery Jane was going up against patients from the Arkham Asylum. Honestly, that would make more sense than whatever the hell was actually going on there. Which is fine because it's Scooby-Doo. There's a talking dog. It's Goofy. Who actually gives a shit? Who cares? Ow, I think this is implying that there's more pumpkins. Like, this is a pumpkin patch? Okay. Now these are yellow, and usually the trees, that's the wrong layer, go a little crazy on the color, like the variety of it. But I also need to be mindful of overlapping colors because this yellow is currently too close to Critter's tail. So I'm gonna fill this in behind so the blurring, the pixels don't show through. Sumi. Ah, what the hell? What happened? Wow. I've never even seen that show, and that's the funniest. The Mickey Mouse, I don't know which Mickey Mouse show it was, but it was one where they were just, like, obsessed with making Mickey look like the most unhinged thing possible. It was so funny. It's like, Minnie trips, and then Mickey runs over, all dramatic. Wow! Oh my, this is so funny to me. I don't know. It's so stupid. I love it. Alright, we need some orange up in here. Some reds over here. Just a few bits of green mixed in. Oh! Yeah, okay, hold on. Line art, there it is. I forgot. Can't forget. Random little leaves. They got little leaves on the ground, they got little sparkles everywhere. I almost completely forgot the little pumpkin leaves up the front here, but I think we can just kind of... Shh. We just ignore that. Okay, now the tail paint. Are we going to... by we, I mean me. Am I gonna keep the tail paint the same color, or, because it says the tail paint is optional and can change color, so I'll keep it the same value. But what if I do a little red and blue? Or is that, is the red and blue too much? Because I can also do that, which I think is the exact green. Oh, I was just a little bit off with that one. Okay, I can make this one that blue, same as the sky, and I can make this color no, not that one. Yeah, there we go. That's the same greens. It doesn't distract from the piece. It's repeating colors. Critter's still the most vibrant thing in the picture. Okay, now for color and line art. Okay, now since this is paint, and if my style is anything to go by, I gotta make it all oopy goopy. No, that's too much. We can just stick with the little I'll just stick with the little guys. Okay, this. So I'm gonna that treatment. And keep the eyes darker though. Oh, come on, flip. There we go. Come on. There we go. Okay. Shading! How did I almost forget about the shading? God! We are really... Okay. Okay, okay. Gee. Phew. So glad y'all reminded me. Come on, close. There we go. Lighting here is very minimal. But since I went ham on everything else, okay, the sunlight would be a nice orangey gold. Yeah, and it's midday, or at least it's daytime. Now, I don't normally cell shade. I usually do a lot of soft shading. So that's what we're going to be doing. But sometimes if a character is like very cartoony, I'll cell shade at first, like just to block in where I want the shadows to be. And then I'll come back and merge everything down. Or not merge everything, and then I'll come back and blur. Especially, you know, since I've started doing the double... Not double layering. What's the term I'm looking for? I'll be adding that. The rim lighting, I suppose, is what it's called. I'm assuming the light's coming down directly at him, so... Okay, I like it so far. Ow. Man. Oh my, there's like 3 layered. Oh no, that's the line art. And what is this? Okay, so that's nothing. So background line art, this is the pumpkin shading, this is the pumpkin line art. If I... There. Okay, there's that, and let's not forget this little guy. Okay. Okay. I think we are just about done. I'm not quite sure on the lighting. Like the shading on Critter. So I'm gonna try again on a different layer. Maybe if I do a mix of like reds down here and then blues maybe? Now, bear with me. Because the one thing you gotta remember about lighting and shading and all of that, it is all about layering. How you lay things on top of the other. And of course the ever magical but always overhyped color theory. I don't want to say it's overhyped because it is important to know. But everyone's like, oh, it's the first thing everyone brings up, and it always makes them say, oh, okay, fine, yeah, we're doing this again. Alright, go ahead, harp on color theory, say how it's the most important thing ever. It's like, you know what, it's not, actually. I mean, it does help if that's what you're going for, but if you don't really care about color theory, then just don't bother. Because subconsciously you will know, what looks good together. Oh, that works too. If I change this instead of the multiply into overlay, that works. Oh goodness. The overachiever part of me really wants to add some clouds. So I'm gonna add some clouds and then see how that looks. I do like the way that looks. Balls, that looks good. Ah! I'm not the most thrilled with Critter's face, but that's mostly because just their art style and my art style when it comes to drawing furries is like a completely different. But for what it is, I do enjoy. I do like the way this looks. Yeah, this is a draw this in your style, not draw this in your design. Like, if I designed Critter, they would look completely different. But I didn't. I'm just drawing their Sona with my art style. I have not saved this entire time. Don't be like me. Save your work. Where am I saving this? Other art. Okay. Draw this in your style. Critter. Save. Do not be like me, okay? Do not go in a whole 2.5, almost 3 hours without saving your art piece once. Do not be like me, especially since I live in an area where the power could just go out at any time. Do not be like me, okay? Save your art. You do not want to lose hours of hard work. Man. This piece looks so cozy. I just want to crawl in. I want to go there. Alright, yeah, I'm going to figure out the actual how I want that to look later, but for right now, I think that this is a good place to stop. And next stream, what is it gonna be? Next stream is gonna be a little bit of a struggle because I want to. It's gonna be back to My Little Pony one more time. Well, actually, there's another one that I'd like to draw, but I might change that. This maze piece I might draw for you know, after fall and after October, because this is for a creepypasta called Maze, and it's still coming out. I mean, I think the story has come out, but the video format of it hasn't finished coming out yet, and it was supposed to come out this Halloween. So it's just, crap. Okay, well, when that finishes, I'll work on the I'll do this. But before then, I think we can do these theory pieces, and then maybe Halloween we can look at the rest of the drawings that we did, like the previous ones, and then maybe we can pick more to work on, just so there's more to do. Okay, but this Friday, this one I had the most struggle composition-wise. I had the most struggle. Yeah. I have the most struggle, especially in the talkie. And I'm going to end stream here because I haven't eaten lunch yet and I need to use the bathroom. So, thank you all so much for watching, whether it was on Twitch or YouTube, either way. Thank you to the new follower, Romanticized Nightmare. That is an awesome name. And yeah, all my socials are in the About page. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and sometimes Friday. After we finish these fall illustrations, I might take like a week break from streaming. Like the first week of November is, you know, when I finish the fall illustrations, I'm going to take a break from live streaming. And then I'm going to jump right into an animatic project for, that's going to be a callback to the first animatic I made. It's going to be a continuation of the lore for OCs, and I hope y'all like that and tune in for it. Because that one is going to take me a while, and then after that's done, I have no idea. But, either way, we've got some things coming. I have no idea what Halloween day is gonna look like. I'm probably just going to chill and not focus on creating content. Like, I'm still gonna live stream, but I kind of like just enjoying my holidays, if that makes sense. If you guys want to participate in this Draw This in Your Style challenge yourselves, you can find the challenge, if I can hopefully bring it up without my computer crashing. Stand by. It is, run by Four Leaf Island on Twitch, but the art was posted on their Tumblr. Come on. Come on. It was hosted on their Tumblr at, like, Cat Mask or something. And, Jesus Christ, that's gonna... You know what? Give it a minute. My internet's just gonna shit itself. I will make a post in the offline chat. As soon as that... Oh, wait, no. Here it comes. Here it comes. Slowly but surely. Stay with me. Slowly but surely. Oh my god. Less sure by the second. What the fiddle? Alright, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to post a link to the original, I'm gonna post a link to the post where you can check out the Draw This in Your Style challenge for yourself, if you wish to do that. Again, optional. No one's forcing you to do anything. Well, why do I keep saying that? What do people say? It's like, you can do this if you want to. No one is forcing you. It's optional. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, man. Free will exists. You can just decide to not do anything. Why do we have to keep prefacing that we're not forcing anybody to do anything? Anyway, like how I'm not forcing you to click like and subscribe. And follow and check out all my social medias if you want to stay in touch. Anyway, I'm gonna end here because obviously we're losing it. Right, the queen is fading. He's fading.